In the previous episode, I had a very exciting passage from Chatham Island to the mainland, also known as the South Island by North Islanders. There were a few trials and tribulations, but I made it. I was back in civilization, and now I had a calm, safe anchorage in Diamond Harbour where I could relax. I had never actually sailed here before, and Port Lyttleton isn't really known as a cruising destination, but I was to find it certainly had its charms, alongside one of New Zealand's major ports. But surrounding that port, some quite majestical scenery, and more than a couple of good anchorages. And then there's a major city, Christchurch, that's over the hill. The city has an estuary with a bar entrance that I was considering sailing into, so I scoped it out from the top of the hill. Here's what it looks like from the ground. Definitely doable in the right conditions. However, my first mission was to repair the sails that I had torn on the sail over here. Quite a big patch is needed. Pretty much that entire panel, but also a bit here. I'm just going to make it out of this heavy duty tarp. Now you might say, you can't use tarp to fix the sail. You need proper sail cloth. I say, no you don't. I've fixed sails for tops before. This sail's getting a bit old anyway. I mean, just the fact that it tore right across. A proper sail maker will probably just tell me it's time for a new sail. So I'm going to fix it with tarp. Just because I'm fixing a sail with an inexpensive tarpaulin doesn't mean I'm not going to try to do the best job that I can. I particularly don't want to introduce any wrinkles because I'd like to maintain as good a sail shape as I can, but also because a wrinkle can be a point of stress that weakens the sail. So I take as much time as I can to get things laid out as smoothly as possible. Then I glue it down using spray-on contact adhesive. I spray that on, then wait a few minutes for it to start to set, which I've edited out obviously. This probably does add some strength to the repair, but the purpose is really to hold it in place while I sew it. This repair was so large that I glued it in several stages. Oh yeah, my reason for coming to Christchurch was actually to visit some old friends. So here I am doing the sail repair at their house. And thanks Chloe for the use of her sewing machine. I did get my own needles and thread. A domestic sewing machine isn't really intended for heavy duty jobs like this, but it can do it at the stretch. I use extra strong thread and leather or denim needles. From up close you can see it's an extremely amateur repair. So I did replace that. But from a long way off it'll just look like some flash carbon fibre thing or something. Speaking of flash carbon fibre things or something, the Chariot Racing was in town. So here's how you raise the sail on a sail GP racer with a crane. And then you use the same crane to launch the boat. Sail GP was quite a serious event that included an exclusion zone that blocked off most of the harbour. However, that didn't actually start until tomorrow. So we got to witness some of the boats going out for a spin on Thursday before the exclusion zone began. To actually watch the racing you had to buy a special flag for $500. So this is definitely as close as you could get for free. This Swiss boat here played a good game of chicken. On the camera it doesn't look like they were just about to hit us, but it certainly felt like that. So I ended up seeing this because of someone I had met on Chatham Island who also let me use their mooring while I was here. So thanks a lot, Glenn.
Catch up with you, mate.
Day one of the sail GP of the Chariot Racing was cancelled because of dolphin protest. Dolphins got out and just blockaded the start line, but it seems like the dolphins are letting it go ahead. Second day they're already flying up. And actually inside the cabin I can hear this funny ringing noise. That's actually the hydrofoils coming through the water. Pretty crazy. Dolphins can definitely hear shit like that. So over here we have New Zealand's third largest city or something like this. Then there's this massive big hill, range. You have to go over it all the time. And then this great little harbour down here. At first it seemed inconvenient that the harbour was not next to the city, but I soon started to like it. Lyttleton's actually pretty enough to be a cruising destination, but yet you can catch a bus to the city and it only costs $4. So it kind of felt a bit like sailing to Auckland but only going to Waiheke Island. Except the ferry from Waiheke Island is a lot more expensive and Auckland is a lot less convenient than Christchurch is. I hope it doesn't disappoint anyone that this is as close as I got to recording any footage of urban Christchurch. When they were first designing Christchurch, they really wanted it to appeal to the English, so they named the river in it the Avon, which is the Celtic word for river and is the name for 5 different rivers in Britain. I also enjoyed a bit of proa sailing. Since I now have a self-draining cockpit on this thing, it has become an extremely capable boat. A couple of times I even left the catamaran on one side of the harbour and then commuted across on the proa and then caught the bus into town. And I can even do that carrying a not insignificant cargo in pretty rough conditions like this, provided it doesn't matter if it gets wet. Speaking of getting wet, that grey flappy thing, it's meant to be a spray deflector, didn't really work. So here I am sailing around Quail Island. In the channel between Quail Island and Diamond Head, it's frequently the wind just rattles through like this. But the island has a lot of trees that really stop the wind, so coming into the landing it was completely calmed down. Any major port in New Zealand had a small island that was used as a quarantine, and Quail Island was that island in Port Lyttleton. It also had a hut that you can actually stay in. It's a typical backcountry tramping hut, complete with logbook, which I signed of course. The view from the top of the island. Big concrete pad. It's either a UFO landing pad, flying saucer landing pad, or it's for collecting rainwater. I have a new technique of moving the proa on the beach by rolling it on fenders, which works really well, especially because the fenders roll forwards and you only have to move them half as often. I wouldn't say that my proa paddles well, but it is more than possible to paddle it, and sometimes necessary to get out into the wind. The wind had calmed down by now, but still enough to get home. The distance back wasn't quite far enough to bother unreefing, but there was enough wind for some pleasant sailing. It got a little bit more exciting before the camera ran out. So this is about the end of my stay in Lyttleton. The next leg is up to Wellington, back in the North Island. It's 160 miles with no safe anchorages in the way and ends with a crossing of the notorious Cook Strait and landing in Wellington, a city well known for its terrible weather, where I happen to have quite a few good friends. I wouldn't mind a smoother trip than the last one, so I've been waiting for just the right weather and it's nearly here, just one more gale to go at anchor. But that's all going to be in the next episode. So thanks for watching right to the end, and if you'd like to encourage me to make more videos, please post a comment.